Well, welcome everyone. Dave Putz from JKP Holdings, alongside me, Mr. Nathan Turner.
Hello, hello.
Everything is going well.
It's going well. It's going well. I am in the middle of updating the DME website. If you go to it now, you're going to see it halfway finished. More information coming. It's pretty exciting. It's good stuff.
So
keep checking back.
So I apologize everyone for the technical thing. I'm so used to setting up for 3 people, and I wasn't. So hopefully all is well. I appreciate it. I see some people texting and messaging, all the good stuff, and whatnot. So what we want to do is get started with everyone and kind of catch up for a minute, because I'm realizing recently that bankruptcy things are starting to open up. Deals are starting to change. Again, from last week, we had 3 other BKs that actually started processing out of the blue. And we're waiting about, I don't know, 18 months for one of them that just did not make a payments. Deal flow, we're seeing more of it.
Are you seeing more?
Yep, we're seeing a lot more now. I'm seeing people want to move things. Pricing hasn't changed too much yet, but I think we're on the way.
I think so too. I've seen deal flow. It's been more from some people and less from others. And so it's been a little bit different than has been in the past, but it's still certainly there. Yeah.
So we got a few people checking in before we get started. Jay saying hi. Also, Larry. I see Cindy, everyone else. So I appreciate everyone. I'm going to mute my phone for a minute. I appreciate everyone kind of jumping in and checking out what we got going on today.
Yeah.
I have been closing out a few more deals. We were in the process of buying a pool of assets. They trickled down eventually when reading the collateral file. So they're not as crisp as we want to be, and we can get everything, but we did get a bunch, which is really cool.
Write that one down.
What are you seeing now? I know we're looking at when we were talking last, you were looking at some reverse mortgages and whatnot. What's been on your horizon?
Yeah, I've got another pool of reverse mortgages that I'm looking at right now. I'm still raising capital, and so I'm getting very close to my goal for this month, which is great, and because we're only a week in, but that's really good. Spending some time here updating for DME coming up in June. I know it's a little ways off, but I'll send out a big announcement, something a little later today. We've got our class that we're starting up for 5-week, which is pretty exciting as well. And man, lots going on. It's been very good.
So if you're kind of new to this whole area of note investing, what you're going to find from a lot of this conversation we're having today is note investing has a lot of curiosities to it, right? A lot of people wondering what it's all about. But there are also a lot of ideas out there that people don't realize are what you think they may be, but you're not sure, everything else. So well, our mission today was to really kind of talk to everyone about some of the big time myths out there and some of the not so myths, some of the facts out there. And we want to really kind of dive into those kind of factors because I think what we're going to find is some of the stuff out there is a myth per se, but there's some truth to it as well.
Yeah. So, and this is going to be interesting because Dave and I, we didn't discuss this beforehand. So we're
purposely,
he's got his list, I've got my list, and we're just going to kind of hit each other with what we've got. So this should be kind of fun and entertaining. We'll see what kind of myths we come across and what off our lists are the same and what's different. So this will be interesting to see how this goes.
Oh boy. My Zoom is acting up today. So hopefully we won't have too many issues, but I'll make sure we get some things happen here. So all right. Come on. There we go. That's better. Holy moly.
Yeah.
So we wanted to talk about myths because I think people out there really don't have a grasp of some of the big essences of note investing and what they really mean. Yeah. Because when you talk about note investing, there's a lot of curiosity out there that are just not true. And I struggle with that because when you talk about notes in general, it's complicated space.
It
When
is.
you add things in there that may not be fully what you think they should be, they become even more complicated and not true.
Yeah.
So
What's your first one? What's
we
myth
want
number
to talk,
one,
yes.
according
So
to
what we
Dave?
want to talk about first is talking about getting into note investing
Yeah.
and having money, right? There's a idea that in real estate, you have to have a lot of money, 20% down, these kind of things to buy properties. And what you find out that you typically don't need as much in notes as you do in brick and mortar, right? 20% down if you want to fix it up. Rentals, you need to go get a good mortgage, everything else. Where notes, you don't need a lot to get started.
You don't. However, actually, Cindy and I were both on a call yesterday where this came up, where you don't need a lot, but you do need cash. And you can't, there's no lending on notes, not really. There's some, again, maybe I just created another myth. There's not any lending on notes. That's not necessarily true, but you're not going to be able to go get a mortgage to go and buy notes, or a line of credit from a bank to go and buy notes. That doesn't exist.
Correct.
However, but you do have to have cash because it moves a lot faster in a lot of ways than real estate. Where
Yes.
you're putting in an offer on with real estate, you can take your time, and closing doesn't happen for a month or longer. Whereas in notes, you're expected to be able to close. In most cases, you're looking at closing like within a week. So you've got to have your cash ready to go on the spot and close when you say you're going to close.
Sure.
That's a big deal.
So if you guys do have issues hearing us at all, let us know, or seeing us. We'll do our best to do our tracking, our comments and whatnot. I would definitely tell you guys, if you are watching us on any feed, primarily we're looking at the Facebook group feed for comments. Feel free to jump in there, but we are on LinkedIn and the Facebook page and whatnot. So getting started with notes, definitely there's a money attribute to this, right? There is a field where money is needed. However, you know, you can find a decent deal for a low amount of money, as long as you're going for the assets that are desired around the low money.
Yes.
You know, we have IRA money, and I don't need $20,000 IRA money to get into a partial, right? Now, granted, if you're buying non-performers and you're going to buy one for 5,000, that's all you have, that's a problem.
That'll be a problem. That'll be an issue.
Yeah.
And why is that, Dave? Why is that a problem?
So when you get into top performing, you have a lot of fees, a lot of extras, a lot of costs to come play with that. From servicing fees, you have to make sure that you're going to be funding that while you're not a performer. You're also going to be funding legal fees, demand letters, things like that. And if you're doing your IRA, well, what do you do with that money? Especially if it's a Roth, how would you come up with additional funds to handle the legal fees and the servicing fees and things like that? So,
and a lot of those things are fixed costs. So whether it's a note you bought for 5,000 or 500,000, those costs are going to be the exact same number, but percentage wise, that could wipe you out.
Yeah.
So I typically, I'll see what you say, Dave, but when people are asking me how much money do I need to get started in notes, typically I recommend around 50,000. If you've got about 50,000, that's a pretty good number to start with. You can get a decent note for that, plus have enough money left in reserve for all these costs that are involved.
Yes, I would agree with that. I think that the thought process of having no money at all is dangerous. Yeah. I do think that you can play with the 50,000 more successfully than if you were doing it strictly based on, you know, the goal of, you know, buying stuff and being non-passive, complete aggressive with stuff and making a business out of it. You need to have some money, and be careful joint venturing with someone with money, because that can cause a problem eventually.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. 10 years ago, it was a different number. 10 years ago, I said probably you could start with around 30.
Yes. Yes. Yep.
Because of those notes were more available, pricing was cheaper. A lot of things made that more possible.
Yes.
But in today's market, I'd say you're looking, you know, minimum 50,000 to get started.
Yes. There's so many other things that now involved that they weren't before. So,
Right.
cool. Yeah, Patrick made the comment about, property tax, forced place insurance, especially not performing, et cetera, et cetera. Well said, Patrick.
Yeah.
So when we talk about this stuff, the reason we do this is because there's a lot of people out there that just don't realize what's going on. And then they get involved with stuff that just doesn't make sense. So to remind everyone, if you do catching this late, we'll be on YouTube and all that good stuff on the podcast as well.
So that's another myth that leads right into another myth that I wrote down here is if you have been a real estate investor in the past, you can just move straight into notes.
Ooh, and why is that?
That's a big no-no. All kinds of reasons, but real estate, this is one of my catchphrases is it's real estate related, but it is not real estate. It's in that world. And it's related to real estate. We're buying something attached to real estate, but you're not buying the real estate.
Yes.
And ideally, and depending on your exit strategy and everything else, but having done this for a number of years now, I can tell you the best case scenario is you'll never own the property. Yes. That I know, even when I got started, I was after the property. I wanted to get the property. That seemed like a good way to get property. And it is, and it can be, but experience has taught me that your best case scenario is never to own it. That's really what you should be going after. It's, in my opinion, it's the best exit.